This is Jessica,
This is Kimberly.
and we're back again. This time, we're going to be talking about a young adult fantasy book. I'm going to show you it. The Dreadful Tale of Prosper Redding. It's kind of shiny. Ooh. Um, so this is a classic twist of witches, and it's interesting because the setting is in it's modern day, but it's set in an old pilgrim style village, really. Um, and I mean, the main character is 12 years old, so you have to think it's really young. Um, and so the character, he's he's a 12-year-old, so I mean, he doesn't have much experience and he goes through a lot of emotional trauma or just decisions and so you have to put that into perspective. Um, his name is Prosper or Prosperity, which I thought was a rather interesting choice. I don't know what's your take on the first beginning part at least?
Um, I don't know if this hits well with you guys, but like, do you hate it when like everything goes wrong for somebody? That's kind of like the story is. It's just this kid can't catch a break, and it's
Mhm.
really not realistic because life isn't really like that all the time. So that bothered me from the start, to be honest. And it, as my sister mentioned, his name is Prosper, and um, definitely kind of got old school feels with like my sister was mentioning pilgrims, so they try to, that's where his name comes from, is from a dead ancestor, that he has a twin sister, and so this two names that him and his sister go by uh were the previous twins that happened in the family history. So like it's just a lot of repeating history almost in some ways. So
That part of the book I actually enjoyed. When someone does the research, gives depth to it, and borrows things, that's cool. That's awesome. It helps make and feel solid as a book to read. Um, but wow, the real question I have is what's the difference then between a 3 star and a 4 star? Um,
and ultimately rate a five
yeah.
star. But like my sister and we rate books a lot on a three, and I think this is a classic three rating, and it's because for me it has good idea, but just falls flat, and that's kind of what happens with this, where um, the premise of the story is basically um, he's a key to something that's supposed to happen, and oh, it's just I didn't like his family. I didn't like really almost anybody in the story.
But I mean, I liked him. His character was fine.
Yeah.
It was just all of the, axillary people that were not as, yeah, realistic. As well as one of the styles of the writer, I could tell it needed some work with what was happening in the story because suddenly something exciting would be happening, but then it would be describing the wall or something that doesn't apply to the event, or it was really distracting, I think. And so I'm assuming that will probably progress and as the author, hones the craft. But I found that that was like jarring for me, like pull me out of the story and be like, oh, what's happening? But like, why are you describing the light coming through a window? So, um, yeah, that's what made me think of it as a 3. Also, cliffhangers. Cliffhangers. Okay, I'm gonna say cliffhangers are. I'm biased. I think cliffhangers are not my favorite. And this ended on a cliffhanger. But
I don't. So I'm going to bring in something else for recently that I actually watched. I saw Mission Impossible, the most recent one. It's part one, and some people are like, "Oh, did you dread it being part one? Like, was it bad?" And what's interesting is they concluded it almost like it's like the end of a chapter, and so like I don't feel like I was missing out on the rest of the story of Mission Impossible Part Two, and that's really what you have to do as in a book as well.
it's
Is
closure.
you get some type of
Yeah,
closure where you know that there's going to be more to the story, but you feel satisfied as a reader where I'm like, okay,
something concluded. Like you had closure something, right?
So, like, example, if
Yeah.
the author doesn't get the book out for another several years, you're not going to be like upset about it, right? Because you didn't get the end of the story. Um, Good authors can do that, and this book again, like I said earlier, falls flat. I think my sister said it pretty aptly. It's just a cliffhanger, what makes you not happy at all.
Yeah.
So,
No, no. And the writing is fine. It was solid. I mean, good background, good the main character was fine. Just it needs polish. Yeah. So, for a young adult book, it's still a good enough read for a read through. Just, not super exciting, just a book.
it's hard because I just read another young adult book, and it's actually about a pirate. It's way more entertaining, a little bit more violent, but I actually, in some ways, the characters were more redeeming, and the fact that these pirate characters can have more redeeming qualities than a standard family. It's what this is supposed to be. And I'm like, that's why it didn't hit home for me. I was like, ugh, ugh.
Yeah.
So, but
But yeah, the Dreadful
Alexandra
Tale.
Bracken, she
Yeah.
has potential. I might be watching to see
Yeah,
what other
become-
books she might do in the future after she finishes this series and maybe, like Jessica said, hones her craft even more. So, but happy reading.
Bye.